Welcome back to another episode of Gaming Views, a podcast where we don't review games. Oh, no. We review the people who review the games.
Because honestly, that's where the real drama is.
So let's start with the most important part of any review.
A carefully thought out, nuanced critique.
Don't be silly. Of course it's not that. It's that number at the bottom.
Yeah, the sacred number.
Yeah, 7 out of 10.
Unplayable trash.
8 out of 10.
Mid.
9 out of 10.
Cowards. Should have been a 10.
And then the big one, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, it's a paid review, Dan. Clearly bribed.
And let's not forget that every review nowadays attracts all those comments that say this review is biased and so on and so on and so on.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what a review is, though. A bias with paragraphs. People act like reviewers should be robots.
I experienced enjoyment at 72% capacity. Fun detected. Then, of course, we get the user reviews.
Yeah, like 1 star, didn't install.
5 stars, haven't played it yet, but yeah, it looks good.
3 stars, my ex recommended this game, but then we broke up.
But Dan, emotional damage is not a gameplay mechanic, come on.
Unless it's a horror game, of course.
Dan with a gaming flair, pixel dreams and worlds to share, joystick tales and button cues. Welcome to Gaming Views.
Yes, welcome back to another episode of Gaming Reviews. I'm Dan P, and with me as always, my co-host Dan H, who, if there was a review written about him, he'd score 10 out of 10 for charisma, 11 out of 10 for personality, 20 out of 10 for video editing, and probably 50 out of 10 for his patience with me. Dan, how you doing?
I'm all right. Have you forgotten how numbers work?
Yeah.
Or scoring in general? And also, my patience doesn't link to the fact you said welcome to Gaming Reviews. So,
did I say Gaming Reviews? Brilliant. I nailed these intros so well.
Nailed it. Thank you. That was very gracious of you. That was wonderful. As always, your intros are superlative. Thank you, Dan. Yeah, I'm all right. It's fucking Monday.
It's everyone else. Well, look, you have to forgive me for that faux pas because obviously this episode is going to be all about reviews. So I think that's where I've got.
It fits in. It fits in. It's good. It's fine. It works.
If you hadn't have said that, it could have been a lovely little segue. So yeah, you just ruined that carefully planned out.
I'll cut it all out. Put it at the end of the episode like normal. It's fine.
Oh, but yeah, so it's Monday, and we were both saying again, I think, we're not going to talk about the fact that, you had the birthday, the big one last week, and we just keep saying that old age is catching up with us, right?
Oh, it's us now. Oh, right, fine. Okay, fine. Yeah. Nicely done. Yeah, I see what you did there.
Filming. But we're still playing games, of course, which is good for this podcast. So, Dan,
helpful.
What you been playing?
Well, just before you joined the session to record this, I was playing Raccoin. Because I'm slightly addicted to that game made by the makers of Balatro.
Hold on, I'm just seeing it sounded like Art Raiders, and I'm just seeing if it's an anagram. No, it's a different game, right?
It's definitely not. No. Yeah, I see what you did there. No, Raccoin, it's really, really good. I think they've got this knack down, this company of these developers of just kind of making something super addictive that you just one more run go, a bit like Arc Raiders. Oh shit, done it again. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's only in demo at the moment, but I'm hoping for a release later this year. Probably early access, but while they tweak and tune it a bit like I did with Balatro. Yeah, really love it, really enjoying it. So that's in the Steam Next Fest demo that I think is finishing or is finished.
Because you really got addicted to the first demo they released, didn't they?
I did. I played that heavily, and now they've introduced some new mechanics, some new characters and things, and now I'm addicted to that one as well. And it's something so silly for like a penny falls machine. Like, that's all it is. But it's got bonuses and things that go bing and multipliers and lots of coins everywhere. And it's
so easy.
I am so easy to please. It's really, really simple.
Question. Yeah. Did you like these in the arcades themselves then? These types of
fucking hated them. I still hate them because I take my kids there and all they want to do is put 2p's in machines, and they must put the equivalent of about 20 quid in 2p's into a machine to win a small plastic thing, and you're like, I could have bought you 40 of them off of Amazon for £1, and like, but whatever. So, but this I love because it's virtual and I'm not putting real money into it,
and they got
until I buy the game.
Bings in them as well, you know.
And it goes bing and lots of coins and multipliers. So I'm a happy boy. I have played some more Arc Raiders. I was saying to you earlier, I think I'm not done with it, but I think I'm nearly done with it. I've enjoyed it. And whilst I appreciate there was an expedition going on, so there was a bit of nonsense in the last week or so, I'm just tired of getting ratted, and it's just frustrating me now because, don't get me wrong, I understand there's a place for PvP, and, you know, we had this conversation last week, and I don't mind if someone wants to face off and have a go at shooting me and while I'm shooting them, but that's not what's happening. What's happening is, while I'm looting, I'm getting shot in the back, or while I'm trying to exit, I'm getting shot in the back, or while I'm trying to take down an arc, I'm getting shot in the back. And it's like, it's just, and spawn camping, it's just become ridiculous now, and I'm a bit fed up with it because I was enjoying it up to that point and having fun, and now I'm not having fun, and I don't want to not have fun. It's like gambling. Yeah, you do it until you stop having fun. The fun has stopped.
Yeah, you've put in your fair amount of hours though into that, haven't you?
110 so far, yeah, in the space of about 4 or 5 weeks, which sounds obscene, and it is probably obscene.
Yeah, I mean, I might as well talk about Arc Raiders now because it's on my list, and it seems sensible too. I agree with you, right? And again, go back to last week's. Oh, and follow us and subscribe and like us and share and like and review us. Look, people will be.
We're professionals, us.
People will. I can never nail the introduction. People will always say, "Look, oh well, you know, that's boring. Then what are you playing? You know, it's all about the PvP." Mm. I will just echo kind of what I said last week. That I think the issue is that the majority of lobbies, the majority of games, I would say probably like 96% of games I've played, it's all been nice, friendly. You know, you get some really cool people. So the mentality when you go in is generally of one that you don't necessarily expect the worst to happen. And the story you were telling me where somebody was literally camping in a room.
In a known loot spot, waiting for me to drop into that loot spot because it's quite difficult to get to and you have to have a knack of dropping down and hanging off a ledge at the end. And people who played Damn know it's at the end of the highway. Someone was literally camping in a corner, crouched down, waiting for other people to drop in, I guess, not just me, and then just taking me out. And it's like,
so not even attempting to pretend to play the game and get along. Like,
you know what I mean?
What happened to me? So I haven't played it for the last week. I think this just made it on my list because I was playing some solo games, and the round before was brilliant, right? I think I was saying to you, I was playing Damn Battlegrounds and going to the extraction. I had some decent loot on me. As I get to the extraction, call the lift, and all these, there's a number of hornets. I think one of those new fireflies, whatever, start coming. I thought, well, I'm not going to engage them all. There's a little hut near the lift, so I thought I'll run into that. As I run into that, there's somebody else hiding in there, and I thought, right, they're either going to kill me or I'm going to get them killed because those Ark have spotted me and come in. So I thought I'm not going to get them to attack that person. So I run out. I'm trying to take it down. Then all of a sudden you see these bullets coming from everywhere. So there's about 3 or 4 other people taking down these Ark that are coming from me.
That's what it's about.
Get into the lift, and all of a sudden there's about 7 or 8 people jump in. So there are all these people around, and then we all do the dancing emote as we're waiting to extract. But then literally the next one, and this is it's a me issue, right? Where I've let it spoil, you know, so much rather than the previous experience was Buried City. It was Buried City. And I'm going to a spot I normally go to, one of the metro stations, a loot spot, and I see someone taking on a leaper. So I thought, well, I'll help out with that. So lobbed a few secret grenades, you know, I'm shooting it down. You know, I'm the one then taking a lot of the wrath of it, and I end up sort of doing a final shot, go to start looting it, but somebody else, obviously the other person was there, and just as I'm approaching, he takes me out, you know, and it's like, okay, fine, just say to me, look, give me the warning, say, look, if you come loot this, I'm taking you down.
You know what I mean? There's proximity chat for a reason.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't mind that, right? If that's how you want to play PvP, go, I'll fight you for it. That's a fair fight.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. All day long. I'll happily do that. But it's not. It's like, oh, well, I'll start looting it, wait until you're crouched down, and I'm just going to kill you.
I'll let you do all the work. Yeah.
I was saying I did find a fun new game mainly driven by the fact of the Shrouded Skies update with the hurricane. I was just going in and doing naked runs, and no, people, it's not what you think. It just basically means you don't go in with any kit whatsoever, but you have a save pocket. So I was literally going in and just because the hurricanes, I think, taking a shield, it does deplete over time as the hurricane hits you. So going in without a shield, you don't have any healing items, you don't have anything, and you're just running around trying to find kits and blueprints and stuff. And it's quite a bit of fun. There's no risk, but there's tons of reward if you do it well. And sometimes, like I said, I think the first run I did take a raider hatch key, went in, I found one raider cache that hadn't been looted, opened it up, and I had a Bobcat blueprint and a Tempest blueprint, both in the same box. It was mad. It's like they're severely broken, those raider caches, but everyone's doing it. You go in there and you're running around trying to find out where they are, and everyone you go to has already been looted because everyone's going in, just looting them and then buggering off. So, I mean, I'm sounding like I'm really enjoying it. I was really enjoying it, and then the camping and spawning and arseholes. Anyway, that's Art Raiders.
Yeah. Was there one more thing I was going to say about Art Raiders? Well, I'm not playing it anymore, so let that be the one more thing I'm saying. I'll come back to
is
it
that
later.
it? You're done.
Yeah.
That's done now. Oh, okay.
For now.
To the next update.
Yeah.
I've also played a bit more of, I think I've put about 15, 16 hours into Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, which I'm really enjoying. Like I said, it's a great Far Cry game. If you take out the aliens and just swap them in for a different thing, it'd be a really good Far Cry game. But it's a really good Avatar game as well. I'm really enjoying it still. So yeah, I played a few more missions on that, got a bit further, kind of leveled up a bit. And then because we had a lovely episode last week. An amazing host did a great job of kind of talking about stuff about God of War. I go check out the episode. It was me. It was a dick episode, but it was me. I started playing God of War 3 Remastered because I thought I'd go back and have a look and see what's on PlayStation Premium. And it's the only, other than God of War, it's the only one that's on there. So I was like, all right, I'll have a bash of that. So I had to go, realised I'm really terrible at it. And realised that it did that old-fashioned game thing of not letting you change the difficulty setting unless you restart the entire game. So I got about 2 or 3 hours into it and went, oh, fuck, I'm never good at this. Do I want to play through 3 hours again? Because I have to go back and change to a lower level. I think I will persevere at some point. But I really enjoyed it. It's a lovely nostalgic look back at how God of War used to be. But my God, the difference, the what's his name? TC Carson? Is it TC Carson? Yeah. And versus Christopher Judge, the voice is just insane when you hear the difference between the two. And they're like, it's almost like that's not my Kratos, but it was my Kratos, and that's not my Kratos. But,
who's your Kratos? Let us know. Yeah.
Yeah, mine is Christopher Judge, but mainly because I love Stargate as well. So.
Yeah,
but that's it. That's it for me, Dan. I'm not a huge man. Hopefully next week I'll turn up with more than just Avatar and Art Raiders, but who knows? What have you been playing other than Art Raiders?
Well, done that. So I played a bit more of Like a Dragon, Pirate, Yakuza in Hawaii, if that's the right order for those words. I think I've stopped playing it now, though. It's a really good game. I'm having fun, but I was saying to you, it's one of those games I've had a number of interruptions while playing, and so I've fallen out with it. So I've kind of not paying attention. So I'm gonna come back to it later in the year. But yeah, like I said, really fun game, really over the top. But yeah, I just sort of fell out of love with it. Another game I quickly fell out of love with is the next game. It's called In Between. Now, it's a brilliant game again. It's a puzzle game. So this was on the Steam Deck. Okay. And it's quite a depressing setup. So it's a guy who is got like a terminal disease, and it's framed around, is it the 5 stages of grief, isn't it? But is it 6, 5? It's a puzzle game basically. So it's almost like cross between Super Meat Boy and those kind of things. So where you've got to get from the start point to an end point,
right? But
you can flip the gravity. So like if you push up, you fly to the ceiling and you're upside down, right. And you've got to avoid spikes basically. Then there's all these other things that you kind of got to avoid, and they layer up mechanics, and it's really addictive because you do it and you think, right, I know what I need to do. Oh, now I know what I need to do. I wasn't good enough to do what I need to do. So you keep trying. And the fact that there's an achievement for dying 100 times, I think I got that on like level 4 of the tutorial, I think.
Okay. One of those.
But the thing is, it's frustrating, but it's not, or it's annoying, but it's not frustrating because again, you kind of feel like the next go you can get a bit further and you do. It's just, it ramps up straight away. It's not like you can get like 10, 15
you're straight in dying in death a lot? Dying a lot.
Yeah, yeah. And then, so like I said, it'll add the mechanics. So at one point there'll be darkness because it's almost like memories. There'll be darkness closing in on you. And if you
believe in a thing called love. Yeah. Justin coming in and
that would be terrifying. If you look at it, it goes away. But obviously if you're sideways, you can't look at it. But a lot of the levels you might have to be sideways to solve the puzzle. So yeah.
I think you lost me at 5 stages of grief, but
mind bending. But in between, like I said, I've said it's a difficult game, but check it out. It is a good game. And the last one, which I'm on this kind of theme, it's called Nobody Wants to Die.
Hey, what is going on? Are you okay? Do you want a hug? Are you all right?
I'm always up for a hug, Dan. You know.
Okay,
that.
Fair enough.
I think it's an old game, a couple of years old. And it's a first-person detective game. It's very linear, and it's set in New York in 2329. So it's futuristic because you've got flying cars and all this tech, but it's very 1940s feel. It's like that noir. Right. And at first, it kind of grates a little bit because the main character is trying too hard to be that grizzled detective from... like
the Maltese Falcon type thing. That was just Dame in my outfits. One of those kind of.
It's kind of like that.
Right, okay.
But it's a really cool game where it's a future where you can transfer your consciousness into another body. So ultimately, the elite can live forever, but they're being picked off. So you're investigating that, and the main, there's not much to it. You've got to like pick up the right clue here or there, and the main sort of loop to it is you've got a reconstructor, so you can reconstruct the crime, and you've got to pick the right bit and move it, etc. It's good. It reminded me a little bit of BioShock when I first started because it's kind of got the look of it. And the first thing you come up at, you see like a video play of this postal system, and it's done like the Vigors when you get the Vigors.
Oh, yeah.
You get those cartoony, you get one of those. So it made me think BioShock straight away. And a little bit of Firewatch, because for the majority of the game, you're talking to like someone who's assigned to help you. And she's just a voice on the end of like the comms, which is kind of what Firewatch was. So, yeah.
It sounds a bit like Altered Carbon. Did you watch that on Netflix?
No, I never did, no.
You should watch Altered Carbon. It's brilliant. I mean, it's only 2 seasons, so it had the Dan P curse, even though, but it's based on a series of books. I think the first series got Joel Kinnaman, and the second one's got, oh my God, who's the guy who plays the new Captain America? Was the Falcon? I can't remember his name, the actor.
Oh, Christopher Mackey.
Yes. So, is it Christopher Mackey?
Is it Chris?
No.
Mr. Mackey.
Yeah, Mr. Mackey. Apologies, Mr. Mackey. But he's in the second season. And Altered Carbon's brilliant. But it's about uploading your consciousness into new bodies so you never die. So that's why when you said that, I was like, it's not Altered Carbon. But you should watch it. Anyone should go and watch it. It's brilliant. And the books are amazing as well, by the way. But yeah, go watch it. Netflix. Gaming. Back to gaming. But yeah. So,
Yeah. I mean, I completed it. It's only about 6 hours. And I got... Right. I think the good ending, if as good as it can be. So yeah,
right.
That was what I've been playing.
I do like the way you choose like random shit to play, and I just go Art Raiders. It's like people are going, let's just skip past the bit where Dan H talks about his games because we know what that is.
Well, I just was looking through my backlog and think, right, I've got to start a game that I haven't played because it's not made the list this week, but there's a game I've played many a time again.
Yeah.
And for those listening, it's not Mass Effect for once.
It's not.
No. So
one fucking episode.
So let's move on quickly before I get more abuse. So we go on to the next regular feature, which is news. And
news, Dan.
Daniel, the first one features a story about AI because we haven't spoken about that enough recently.
No, it doesn't pop up almost every week.
But it's not the usual Ramageddon. No, it's not usual Ramageddon thing.
No, Ram the Rock. It was right there.
That was it. Yeah, Ram the Rock. Yeah. And this mixes in. I was going to mention that. Obviously, we've had the big release at time recording. Resident Evil Requiem came out a few days ago, getting rave reviews. But this story from the team over at PC Gamer is an AI-generated review of Resident Evil Requiem written by a fake iGaming and sports betting analyst briefly hit Metacritic. And I thought it was quite sort of coincidental based on the episode we were doing today. That'd be an interesting point later on. Do we think that's where it's going? Because did you get to read it? No, I didn't see it. I've just got the story, but it's
I assume it's been removed now.
Yeah, well, it's UK-based site videogamer.com published a review by author Brian Merigold, who doesn't seem to exist, and whose video gamer profile picture carries a file name chatgpt-image-oct-2025-11_54-am-148x148.png.
Wow. Definitely not a human.
He is nevertheless described as an experienced iGaming and sports betting analyst with deep appreciation for the innovations shaping modern gambling entertainment.
Oh my God, even his profile was written by AI.
So yeah, they gave it a 9 out of 10, and it did feature on Metacritic for a brief amount of time before it got pulled. And, you think about the story you bought a couple of weeks ago, if it wasn't last week, about the hit piece that a bit of AI wrote. And yeah,
or maybe they posted it on their social network as well.
Well, yeah.
There's a group of them with real careers. No, I'm a developer. I'm a video game reviewer. I'm an analyst.
Humans don't want to hear the review, the idea or the point of view of AI. It's outrageous.
It is outrageous. Yeah. Did it? There's another bit. I was just sticking with Resident Evil Requiem. That was, it climbed to the top of Metacritic's all-time user scores briefly, and then went back down again after people obviously went, no, Expedition 33, no, Resident Evil Requiem, no, and then it was, oh no, it's Corey in the House. Because the thing, so this is a piece from Eurogamer where, via VGC, he learned that Resident Evil Requiem was sitting at 88 and generally favourable when it comes to critic reviews. Managed to top the best games by user score list with 9.5, which was just above Clara Obscura. And we've spoken about how that was sitting at the top before in our Clara Obscura episode. Go check that out. But now Clara Obscura has reclaimed the top spot. But they suspect that the two, while fans are debating and publishing user scores, they will continue to move. But nobody seems to be putting in dibs for Corey's in the House anymore, Dan. I don't know why.
Because they don't want to get involved in a fight. They're just there. They're for the love of the game.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, Corey in the House, cracking game. Yeah, check that out.
It's interesting, and we are going to talk about this in the main part of our episode, but we've seen it this week, the whole review bombing thing as well in Breaking Bad, wasn't it? Because didn't a Breaking Bad fan criticise, what was it?
Knights of the Seven Kingdoms.
Yeah. Yep. And so Knights of the Seven Kingdom fans kind of gathered their forces to was it Ozymandias, the highest rated episode, I think, of Breaking Bad.
Ozymandias, yeah. And yes, it was and another review bombing session going on in the world of TV. Night of the Seven Kingdoms versus Breaking Bad. So we'll get into this. I just don't care enough. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, I don't need to know people's opinions.
We need to think of the relevant meme, like we keep saying Nintendo sit in the back with their popcorn. We need to sit.
I do that all the time with reviews and things like that. I think it's funny.
Yeah.
I'm worried about you for the next bit of news, if that's where you're going down. I'm genuinely, and I understand now why you're talking about the stages of grief. If this is where you're going next, because I'm worried about you for this one.
Yeah. So the next story, Sony, they're expected to ditch PC ports of single player games. Now, just to be clear, at the moment, as we've recorded this has come from journalist Jason Schreier. And his view is it looks like Sony are going to back away from porting their big sort of a single-player adventure games to keep them solely console exclusive. Now, I've been thinking about this, and you know, I am annoyed because I've now just got into the whole world of it through the Steam Deck. But I guess
I have to say, I talk jokingly about the curse of Dan P. Like going, I've seen this really great series on Netflix or Prime, and then they go, they've cancelled it after one season. And now they're doing it with video games. And Dan's going, I bought a Steam Deck because I can play PlayStation
and the Steam Decks now, they're not in stock as well. You can't buy a Steam Deck now.
I tell you what I'm going to do, mate. I'm going to buy you a PlayStation Portal and connect you to my account so you never have to pay anything and you can just play as many games as you want to your heart's consent.
And if you want to pay me to not play a game or watch a series that you like, just send a check to Gaming Views. But look, I mean, joking aside, I mean, at the moment, we've sort of said that Sony haven't really of late done too many of these or any that have been sort of like runaway success. I mean, Stellar Blade probably is the most recent one. But, you know, with Wolverine around the corner, that kind of makes me wonder whether we'll see that. But before I hand over to you, what I've been thinking about recently is that I guess, whilst it's disappointing because we keep talking about how exclusive it is, we don't necessarily think it's a great thing. And look at Microsoft. I think what Microsoft have done is probably spurred Sony on to do it better, because why wouldn't you make your games totally exclusive again if you're one of your biggest competitors, if not the biggest one, is now basically saying everything's an Xbox and you can play their games on the PlayStation. So if you want to play the PlayStation games, you have to get a PlayStation.
Yeah, it's an odd one. Like seeing them, you know, because obviously they've been closing some studios and they've been doing some, you know, cleaning house, whether it's the right decision or question mark. But it's an odd decision because I think one of the articles I was reading about this, they actually made quite a bit of money, and I can't remember which releases specifically they were, but I think it was close to, you know, it was some ridiculous number, like 2 billion or something, off of a number of PC releases. Which leads to the question, how much do you have to make to go, oh, we should continue doing it, or it's a bad decision? So I can't really get my head round why they would make that decision if it was clearly a moneymaker for them. But maybe it's only specific titles. But then, you know, how many are there really that have been released on the PC? And the moneymakers are going to be your Gods of War, you know, because we know it's the most profitable franchise. It's going to be the Spider-Mans. It's going to be Last of Us and games like, you know, those sort of things. So it just feels a bit random to then go, oh, I'm not going to bother doing it anymore.
But also, the majority of them are coming over many years later, I would say.
Yeah, totally.
So, if you not, I'm not going to say day one, but if you do it sooner, then you're probably going to get maybe a higher uptake quicker, because they are the brand new games. I mean, look, at the moment, you've got the majority of them on PC now anyway. You got, like I said, you've got your God of Wars, you've got your Horizons, you've got your Spider-Mans, and a couple of the Uncharted are on there, Last of Us are on there. So it's not like you're short of them. But yeah, it's odd. Like I said, it's this whole exclusivity thing, but I think I can see why PlayStation would do it now with Microsoft's diluting of their ecosystem. But I'll say again, likelihood is I probably won't get a PlayStation 5, not because I don't want a PlayStation 5, but I've got, you know, I do want to get the Steam Deck if we ever do see it, Steam Machine if we ever do see it. I've got kind of like the Xbox, and you know, I just don't think I've got room for a PlayStation. So again, if I could give Sony my money by playing them on the Steam Machine, Sony, I'm here for you.
I do want to correct you. You've always got room for another console, Dan. I mean, there's no doubt about that. There is always room for another console. Like, physically, there is room. right? I've been in your house. I know there's room for another
In
console.
my life, maybe in my life is what I should have added.
There's not enough love in your life, but I haven't got a heart big enough. It's two sizes too small for a PlayStation.
No, I meant not enough time in my life for the PlayStation
that's fair.
as well.
Yeah, I mean, you can't even get through your current backlog on the Steam Deck, Xbox, PC, whatever else you're playing on.
Well, if they stop releasing Mass Effect every year, I'd be able to.
The thing is, we're working off the, in context off of a single journalist who's reporting in this. So, how factually true is it? I don't know. I mean, it like I said, some of the articles I read have kind of said, well, actually, it is a moneymaker for them. So it feels a bit of an odd idea to go, well, we won't. We're saving some money by shutting down studios. And maybe that's the problem. Maybe they're shutting the studios that are making the game. I don't know, doing the ports. I mean, Bluepoint being case in point, they've shut them guys down and they were doing a lot of remakes. And so who knows? I don't know. I don't live in their world, but I do have a PlayStation. So happy days.
I'll just be around yours all the time.
I'll be all right. Yeah, mine.
And look, Sony have never said that they're a multi-platform system.
True. Very true.
Publisher, sorry.
Yeah.
So,
or maybe they've seen the dilution of the platform like Xbox.
Well, like I said,
that would put the heebie-jeebies up anyone, right? Seeing what Xbox has done, because they're just, whether they sign their death knell or not, I don't know. But they're certainly not in a great place from a hardware perspective now, and they're spread very thin on, where they're putting their development.
Yeah.
Well, there's no exclusives.
But this is why I think it's a smart move, and I think this is why ultimately the next system, probably for Xbox, will be the last one. Because the thing is now, you're Microsoft, you're putting your games on PlayStation. PlayStation now, you make your games exclusive. So if you want to play Wolverine, you can only play it on the PlayStation. So you would go for a PlayStation over the next Xbox because, potentially there isn't going to be another Xbox after that one. And
all day long.
So it's going to maybe drive up those sales. So from an exec position, you can it makes sense, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I was going to say, because even this morning, so this is from WCCF Tech. Quite a famous strategic advisor, Michael Patcher. He's never one to kind of mince words, but he's basically saying that he believes Xbox is dead already. He doesn't think there'll be another console, not an exclusive Xbox console. And he said, in his words, I think the console is dead. I think they've already blown it with the console by embracing Game Pass. And he's notoriously pro Microsoft and Xbox normally. So it was quite a shock to hear him kind of come out and say that. So he was very pro Game Pass when it launched. And now he just thinks that, with everything that's price increase and everything else, he's saying it's the wrong model for them. So he says the problem with Game Pass was it was all or nothing. Give me $30 a month or fuck you. You aren't playing my games. Why wouldn't you sell EA Sports FC to the 100 million people who would like to play it but don't want to buy a console? Of course you should. I think that's the ultimate solution, leveraging Microsoft's game library, live ops, understanding, and cloud infrastructure to be like Steam, but for connectivity. If they ever did that, I think it would work. I think the all-in-one $30 a month subscription was the wrong way to go. The price should be $10 a month, all you can eat. Who's going to pay for a buffet knowing it's 5 times the cost of a meal? How can you make a business charging people $360 a year up front when a game costs $70? They should have run it like a cafeteria, and that was their mistake. And it's almost what we said, it was almost too much to swallow. Certainly for you, I've got away lucky by paying for it through my mobile. I haven't seen any price increase or anything else. I'm sure I'm paying for it somewhere else, but I haven't seen it, on a bill up front. And you said, for you, it turned you off. So I don't know if, Sony have kind of gone, do we want to spread all of our dev around thin and release these exclusives that are actually the thing that drives our console sales? I'm not sure we do. Although, albeit it takes a long time to come to PC. Yeah.
So we'll keep an eye on that. But at its heart, it was disappointing when I saw that. Not just personally, but again, it's this whole exclusivity thing. And do you remember when sort of Sony and Microsoft were throwing money at, especially like Call of Duty, wasn't it? To have Call of Duty exclusive for a year, or the maps first on this one.
Mad. Yeah.
It was crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. So and
then they went and bought them anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh dear. Next story. I can't remember if this had already reared its head before, but I saw it.
Not on the podcast.
No, sort of a couple of days ago. We've had similar stories, but New York sues Valve over Counter-Strike loot boxes. So this is from PC World. So the New York Attorney General is suing Valve over alleged illegal gambling through Counter-Strike loot boxes on Steam. The lawsuit claims 96% of digital items are worth less than unlock keys, while the skin market is valued at billions, with some items selling for tens of thousands. The legal action highlights growing concerns about loot box systems operating like casinos and potentially facilitating gambling addiction among users. Now, this is a story as old as, well, online gaming itself, right? And
totally.
Yeah, what's your view? I mean, firstly, is this just another one of these sort of lip service kind of things, trying to force companies into doing the right thing without it amounting to anything?
Yeah, I've not read the article, so I don't know the context of the Counter-Strike specific piece. But it feels weird to just go after Valve when so many other companies are far more guilty and earn far more money off of this kind of predatory practice of the whole loot boxes. You know, I mean, it's skins and all that sort of thing. You know, Call of Duty, look at Fortnite, look at, you know, but let's not go after the biggest. Let's not go after Epic. Let's not go after Microsoft. Let's go after Valve. You know, I don't know. It just all, like I said, it all smacks a little bit of right time, right place. It felt quite opportunistic to go after Valve, given, you know, they're not struggling as a company, so I'm not giving false news, but they're struggling to get some hardware out now, because, you know, we don't know what's happening because of, you know, Ram the Rock. I'm going with that now. You know, so it feels a bit opportunistic to then go, oh, we'll stick the boot in while they're struggling a bit. And obviously Steam is fucking huge. Like, you know, it's the biggest PC platform. It has the biggest share of the market. It's, you know, so there's all that as well. So, I'm just reading through it now. The lawsuit claims 96% of digital items are worth less than unlock keys. Well, that's true for absolutely anything you buy, which is why I refuse to buy any of this stuff.
I mean, FIFA packs for Ultimate Team was the big one many years back because it was the same. And the thing is, you always get the streamers who always unpack the best things, right? And we know why. It's not, I'm not saying it's right, but I guess the thing for me is it's exactly what you said. You know, why do we go after some and not the others? I mean, this country even went into government, didn't it? I think the government discussed the whole loot boxes, and I think it was around FIFA especially. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a whole hidden world I wasn't even aware of. Just flicking through this, the market for Counter-Strike skins is estimated to be worth multiple billions of dollars. Even though selling virtual items for real cash is a violation of the Steam user agreement. But
this is, this was the point I was trying to buy time till my brain caught up with it. The thing is, right, so they're selling for billions or you know, far higher value outside. But look at anything, you know, Funko Pops, remember for a while, they were the commodity you invest in. Everything, comic books, you know, figures, everything has got a perceived value, right? And rarity or desirability will pump that value up, but it's not just. So why shouldn't that apply to video games as well? It clearly does.
I mean, if people are stupid enough to spend the money, I mean, it's, you know, it's there. I struggle to see the link between that and gambling. You know, it's a very tentative link to say, yeah, but you're opening a deck, and therefore it's a gamble to open that. Sorry, you're opening a pack, which is a deck of things, and therefore, you know, it's a gamble on what you're going to get. Oh, yeah, but it's not horse race, is it? It's not a football match. It's not a. I don't know. I
think they're just preying
what next? Like Pokemon, opening a pack of Pokemon cards is gambling.
Well, I was going to say, when I used to get my football stickers, you know, the amount of times I didn't get the sticker I want, but they didn't call that gambling back in the day. I think, I don't know if they show it now, but I remember one of the things they were trying to push for was that they needed to put the odds of getting like the top items in there. Right. And maybe they should, if there are companies that aren't, maybe that is a valid thing to say. It's like a 1 in 6 chance or a 1 in 10 chance. But I agree with you that, look, it preys on the gambling habit, but to equate it with a casino and, you know, horse racing, dog racing, etc., feels a bit iffy.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, it goes on to state that, you know, equating loot box and gacha game design with gambling has been a hot button issue for years, though actual prosecution has been rare. Are they going to be successful? It feels like, you know, and I know the law works very different in the US, particularly at this moment in time. It seems to be very flexible depending on who's in charge. So, you know, who knows? I don't know. I just think it's, you know, for me personally, my review, it's a bit of a nonsense issue.
Yeah,
that's where I sit with it. You know, leave Valve alone, let them get on with what they're doing. You know, if people want to be idiots and spend money, maybe getting a pretty knife out of virtual knife out of a box, idiots be idiots.
Yeah, but if anyone wants to buy my level 1 Stitcher from Art Race, I don't play it anymore.
Absolutely, he'd be painting it a nice colour because that's
that's what it's all
next.
about. That's what it's all about. Right, what's the next story up? Oh, this is a real random one, but I've only put it in because Guitar Hero's coming back, sort of.
When?
Sort
when?
of.
When?
So,
and is Rock Band coming with it, Dan?
It's later this year. It's called Stage Tour.
Okay.
But it's so.
Is there a peripheral? There better be a peripheral.
There will be. So it's a new incarnation of Red Octane Games. Was founded by veteran developers behind Guitar Hero and DJ Hero. Now, if you've listened to this long term, you know I really want DJ Hero to come back. So fingers crossed for that. Yeah. So Red Octane Games also disclosed that it's working on a new rhythm game, and that title has now been revealed as Stage Tour. So it kind of looks exactly the same. So it's not.
Oh, the guitar looks pretty as well, though.
Yeah. Now it's not coming. So I think the game itself is digital. It's going to be digital only, but there is going to be a set of peripherals. So I think there is going to be a microphone. There is going to be a guitar. I believe. I'm just trying to look. I think there is going to be drums as well.
You know what I'm thinking, Dan.
Get the band back on the road.
Get the band back on the road.
Get the band on the road. Look, right. I know these kind of died a death because there were so many of these plastic peripheral games, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a sucker for a Guitar Hero, Rock Band, DJ Hero, all those.
Do you know what? Sometimes I feel really guilty about not reading the news articles that you put in, and sometimes there's a nice little surprise in there, and I just think, oh, I'm glad I didn't read that. That's super cool. I'm fucking really looking forward to that now. I do love a silly peripheral in a game that makes you feel like a rock god.
Yeah. Oh, here you go. Yeah, there will be a branded microphone, drum controllers, and a new guitar controller modelled after Gibson's Kramer.
Yeah.
But you can play with your controller if you want. But yeah, like I said, I do love a Guitar Hero. I've had them all. I love the was it Rock Band? I think it was Rock Band, the Beatles, the specific Beatles. That was a wonderful little package. That was
anything David Bowie when I used to play Rock Band would be amazing. Oh, it just sucker for it.
Well, you know,
can we stop the podcast? I'm just going to go and read about this all night now because this is awesome. Well, the controller comes complete with colour buttons, a fretboard, and a whammy bar, like the old controllers.
Brilliant, isn't it?
Amazing.
And
it's cherry red.
Yeah. So I'm going to have to tell my wife then that I'm clearing some space out of that cupboard.
Clearing space out of the cupboard and your diary.
Yeah. But look, I would love to set up the band. So watch out for Gaming View's debut album probably this time next year. So
yeah, I'm going to get Tom Morello to decorate my guitar when I see him.
So yeah, Stage Hero coming out. Did I say a date? I think it's later this year. I believe that's all they've said. I don't think
we'll keep you posted. That's for sure. Because my excitement can't be contained.
Yeah. Just a couple more stories. It's funny. This was one my wife sent to me because now whenever she sees anything gaming related, she'll send it to me. But it's Claire Obscure. So it's around price. I'm not going to go fully into it, but the headlines, this is BBC, is £70 becoming harder to justify the rise of cheaper blockbuster games. Now, it's so it said in 2025, Nintendo set a new benchmark for game prices when it listed major Switch titles like Mario Kart World at $74.99 in the UK, $79.99, And meanwhile, speculation keeps growing that the next GTA is going to be the first game priced at $100, which, as we said, will just be the floodgates for everyone else to say, yep, we'll charge our games at the same price. But it cites Claire Obscure, Expedition 33, Split Fiction, and Arc Raiders for going more along the £30 to £40 pound mark. And if we think about, no title has won more Game of the Year awards than Claire Obscure, 436 at the time of this article, which is a week ago.
Mad, isn't it?
Yeah, and they're saying, look, ultimately we've seen, this is the developers, we've seen a number of larger companies increase prices quite regularly, and we've taken the opposite action. We try to think, what do we think the price should be? And then we price it lower. And, I commend that. And obviously as a gamer and a purchaser, I'm hoping more companies do that. But yeah, pricing, I think, especially when GTA comes out, there's going to be a fascinating story developed there, I think, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about potentially, I still don't buy the $100 game thing, but potentially, I mean, they've got to recoup their costs somehow. But charging 2.5 times more than a game like Claire Obscura feels...
Well, I guess if you think about it, $100 is what, £85 probably, and new digital releases here are $75. I mean, well, the deluxe edition of Resi 9 is £75 here. Yeah,
I mean, that costs, we said it before, costs only ever go one way. Well, it's not like they go, we're going to release our games cheaper from now on. Like, once they've hit a point, then they can cite inflation, they can fight economic issues, they can cite whatever they want, to justify the increase. But then, like you say, you have a game that has a dedicated development crew who do an amazing job on a game like Claire Obscura. I did love that game, and eventually it took me a long time to fall in love with it, and I did love what it did. But I would argue it's also very, very linear in terms of what it achieves and what it does. It does it in a great way. The story's great, beautifully told, and the aesthetic of the whole game is amazing. And then you kind of go, yeah, but in terms of mechanics, in terms of the layers and the things that have to go in to create a living, breathing world, like something like GTA 6 or any GTA game. As I said, I'm not a huge fan of GTA games, but I can appreciate what the devs have been through to build something of that quality. And the trailers, if close to accurate, look phenomenal. But there is a living, breathing world with all of these things going on.
Yeah. And that's well, and that's what I'm saying. So spoiler, because I've started GTA 5, but I'll put that on next week's what we've been playing. That's what I was saying to you. Imagine, you're paying the same amount for Call of Duty for a 6-hour campaign. And look, there is a fully living, breathing multiplayer mode in there. I get that. But the world that you get in GTA 5, love the game or loathe it, it's giving you so much content. And I'm not going to say $100 price tag would justify it. But if you're paying $80 for something that's giving you 1/6 of the game time, if that,
Yeah, so, again, it's all horses for courses, because you can throw that argument at Arc Raiders, and I paid just over 30 quid for it, and I've had 110. This is the most played game I've played this year, probably in the last 2 or 3 years. I don't think I've put as much time into games since probably something like Witcher or Half-Life or, games that I loved and went back to that were full price. I mean, Witcher 3 was probably 40, 50 quid in its day when it launched, to be fair, because it's old like me. But Arc Raiders, 30 quid, but I've got so much out of it. And yes, it's not as layered and contextualized as something like GTA. But would I want to pay 80 quid for it? I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, just to round this story off, there was a survey last year, Q3 of last year. This is US video game players. So only 4% buy a new game more than once a month, through to 33%. So the biggest response section, less often than once a year. So, 10% once a month. So you're going to see that, I think, skewed if games do rise. So again, I guess the industry, whilst wanting to push itself, has got to make sure it doesn't eat itself as well, right?
Yeah, because I don't buy games that often. I think that's the truth of it. There's so much stuff that I still want to play and still haven't played on Game Pass, on PlayStation, even on the things I pay monthly for, the subscription services. Buying games, I've spent more money this year probably on. Maybe, other than Ghost of Yota and Art Raiders, I think I've spent more money on Steam buying, like what are they called? The multi-packs of games and things like that from Green Man Gaming and, than I have, bundles. I more buying bundles of games and never playing any of them.
Oh, yeah.
Because you end up with 50, 60 games in your Steam thing and you're like, I don't know if I want to play any of those. They don't really get, you'll eventually get around to playing them because that's what you do. I only really pay for a game if I'm super interested in playing. Like, there are games that are coming out on Game Pass. Look, I'll definitely buy Wolverine. I'll definitely buy Crimson Desert. I was going to buy Replaced, but it's coming out on Game Pass, so I don't have to. So it's But I would happily have bought that game, and yes, it will disappear off Game Pass. But by that time, I'll have finished it, enjoyed it, it'd be long gone. So, like
I said, I think it's going to be, the landscape is going to be a fascinating place. I think when GTA comes out for a number of reasons. So I think we should, keep an eye on that. And the last story, it kind of links in with our main episode. And it's unfortunately, it's not a great news story, but it's, we've seen a lot
Finish on a high, Dan.
we see a lot of layoffs in the gaming world, but this is now the games media hasn't been immune to that as well. So the games media is set for more layoffs as IGN-owned Eurogamer cuts editorial staff. Now, it sounds like it's a second round of cuts since it and then some other brands went under the IGN ownership.
Yeah.
It's going to include brands' most experienced editors. I think a number of positions are going to be transferred to IGN. But there are sort of other cuts to like the video channels outside Xbox, etc. Now, again, anyone affected by it, sort of, our best wishes go with them. And if anyone is affected, hopefully they find something soon. But, as we're going to talk about, reviewing is an important part of our hobby, our pastime. And it's just, I think it's something that probably doesn't quite make the headlines that often because it's all about the studios that are shutting and sort of developers, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm with you. Best of luck to all of the people who are affected. Having been made redundant multiple times in my career, I know how devastating that can be, and best wishes to all of them. And I hope. I was reading one of them, the lead editor and director of editorial, Tom, I think, at Eurogamer, and he said, look, this may well be the last piece of video game writing I ever do, which is kind of heartbreaking in a way, because, he talks about the passion he's had for it and what he's done, and you really feel for these guys. People forget, these people, well, firstly, they're people, right? Not just machines that churn out reviews. And secondly, it's not just reviews that these guys do. He contributed every week to, what we've been playing or what they're looking forward to playing, their article that they do. I can't remember what it's called precisely, but that, he contributed every week to that. I remember reading his quite funny pieces on things that he'd be playing. And they were doing lots of other things as well, not just reviews, but gaming guides. And, they were, thought-provoking pieces on the industry or how AI is impacting things and all of these things that these people do. So it's really easy to look at it and go, well, they just play some games and write some stuff, but they don't, and it's a shame that, again, a big conglomerate or a big, corporation like IGN has come along, bought something, and then feels it just needs to slice bits off the top. And it's almost an exact replica of, what Microsoft do. Well, we'll go and buy a studio and then we'll can it when it doesn't do what we want, or there's too many people, or there's this, and we said it earlier today, it's all cyclical. Because then they'll go, oh, we haven't got enough people now. Well, let's go and hire some more, but they'll be more junior and they'll pay lower wages, and then they'll wonder why the output's not as good because they haven't got the experience that they needed, or, and it all becomes this cycle of, silliness. So the little people are never going to win, let's be honest, but, more power to them if they can find something better and bigger.
For me, I think I've got a soft spot for Eurogamer because it was one of the ones years ago a website I latched onto, and I think the British slant of it, I think, helped there. You know,
I'm with you. I'm exactly the same. Eurogamer was one of the very first gaming press websites that I ever subscribed to, watched, joined, and have had it in my list of, you have your list of Chrome things, and before Chrome it would have been Firefox or whatever browser was using, but it's been in there historically ever since. IE, always been in my browser list, and I look at it every day, every single day. I go on Eurogamer.
And I think for me, it's because of that kind of that Britishness and some of that, like the cynicism and sarcasm they used to bring to some of the reviews. And look, and I'm not going to say other sites didn't use it, but it felt to me like the reviewers, sort of many years ago at least anyway, the reviewers and the editor felt like people, and they were like known people, if you know what I mean. It weren't just it wasn't a name on a byline.
Yeah. It has changed a bit since I took over, and I've noticed a lot of some of the new people who've joined aren't my cup of tea. That's fair, right? But I'm an old man. But there is one guy on there, I can't remember his name, I hope he's still on there. He's the Scottish guy who does the video reviews, and he also writes some reviews. He is hilarious. He is absolutely brilliant. And he did a piece that I watched that helped me decide whether or not to buy the PlayStation Portal. Actually, he went round testing where he could use it, like outside McDonald's and things like that. And it was just a genius piece of very funny, well written and thought out video that he'd done. So I hope he's still gainfully employed there, but if not, I'll follow him wherever he goes. But yeah, just a real shame.
Yeah, and also the Eurogamer Expo that I think we both went, not together, but we'd gone to a couple of those. So
we have been to EGX a few times, yeah.
Yeah, so best of luck to everyone who's affected. And Absolutely. If you haven't checked Eurogamer out, go check out the Eurogamer website. So today's episode, we're going to talk about reviews. And like I said, bearing in mind the last news story we had, this isn't to bash reviews, but it's like, how have reviews changed over time? Have they changed enough? More importantly, like the score. So not saying that reviews aren't needed. I think more than ever they are, but it's how have they evolved enough, and do we think there's a little bit more of an evolution? So before we kind of get into the main conversation, the first review that I could find was back in 1972 for a game called Space War. And this was an article in the Rolling Stone, and it was written by a sports reporter at the time. Now,
okay,
I found it. I've sent you a link. I found the sort of scanned in version of it. So it's interesting, fascinating to see sort of 50 years ago what a review was for it. But I've got a question for you. Now, I know it's in the notes, so you can either pretend you know it and pull the answer out of your head like that, or you can pretend you don't know it and let me say. But do you know what year the first official magazine dedicated to gaming and reviewing was published? Or if you had a guess, if you're not looking, what year do you think it was?
I don't know, late 70s, I would have thought something like that.
Close, 1974. So
okay,
the first magazine.
So not close.
Yeah, well, 70s. The first magazine to cover arcade game industry was a periodical called Playmeter, and it focused on co-op arcade industry, including jukebox and arcade game machines. That started in December.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've just looked at this.
Yeah.
This Rolling Stone article, right? And I think you've not quite done it a service, right? Because not only is it a review of Space War, it's in Rolling Stone, one of the most iconic magazines in the world, but it's also 6 pages long, like with very few photographs taking up space. It is a full-on diatribe of everything involved in the game, the creation, the people. It's.
If you go to the last page, because I'm not sure if it's like one of those little sort of portable machines. You look at the last page; they tell you how to make your own. If you wanted to make your own one, I'm sure on the page 6, the last column.
It's quite incredible. I'm just thinking about. Yes, it is. Yeah, it's got the code in there. You think about reviews now where you're like, you get a couple of paragraphs and then a wrap up and a score. That's generally what you get in most reviews. This is like, it's insane. Like when you said I was expecting like this couple of paragraphs of someone going, yeah, I played this video game, but I'm writing about sports now. He's probably gone to town on it. Amazing.
I'm tempted to put this out in a tweet when we release, because
I think you should.
As a bit of history, I think it's fascinating to see how firstly, it's a non-gaming publication anyway, but the fact it's one of the first things to publish something on gaming is a real moment in time, isn't it?
Amazing. Yeah.
And like I said, the fact that it tells you how to code it and how to make your own housing unit for it as well. It tells you what to buy.
Yeah, I will put the link in. I'll put the link in the YouTube. If you watch on YouTube, go check it out, because I'll put the link in into the vid.
Yeah,
because it's well worth a read. Like you said, it's a bit of gaming history. Sorry, you were saying 1974.
1974 December, Playmeter comes out. Then in 1975, it gets a rival called Replay, and that chronicles the arcade industry through the decades. Now, Playmeter was one of the first examples of, establishing individual game reviews, the 10-point assessment scale for video games, but I think it used letters rather than sort of 1 to 10.
And, like A, B, C, scored an A was okay.
Yeah. The magazine actually closed down only in 2018, so it did go a hell of a lot of time. Yeah. Yes.
Really?
Which I think is quite impressive for something that started so early and has stayed the course of time. How it's evolved over time, I don't know, but fair play for a publication to last that long.
2018?
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's US. So
okay.
I think I've got a stat later on that I don't believe there are any printed gaming media or magazines in the States. Look, if anyone listening from the States can confirm or deny that, but we've still got about 4 in this country. I've got something later, but yeah, the state of print media is obviously nowhere near where it was in the heyday of the 90s and early 2000s.
I mean, there's some weird titles now, I'll be honest, right? So they've got just quickly on their first edition, they've got, this is volume 1, number 6 from May 1975. Economic Pinball. So talking about, how to create pinball. And they've got Arcade Chic. So a former Atari employee turned operator turned journalism student, gives hints about what makes a successful arcade chain. And then you've got kind of normal editorial stuff, readers, mailbox, those sorts of things. Operating, surgeon's supple wrists net pinball title. Okay, fair enough. You've got some other bits and pieces. Manufacturing. This is a weird one, Dan, and I'm not going to go into detail, but an older gentleman makes kids happy. Moving on.
On.
Music programming, Coin Man of the Month, technical topics, On the Move, International Dateline, new products, and calendar of coming events, and then classifieds, which everything used to have there. So some really interesting kind of stuff in there. But yeah, and then big adverts for, it feels like it was almost an industry paper as well, because there's lots of adverts for specific machines for companies to buy.
Well, that's what it was. It was like the arcades. It was, like I said, it was even jukeboxes and stuff like that.
Got you.
And yeah, I found that link as well. And it's a shame I found that just before we started recording, because I'm going to sort of fall into a rabbit hole of finding more of these, because again, it's just fascinating. And you see the hairstyles more so. So consumer orientated video game journalism began sort of in the late 70s when Space Invaders came out. And in North America, the first column about video games was called Arcade Alley in Video Magazine. That began in 1979. But here's another question. When and where was the first consumer-oriented printed video game magazine published?
It feels a little bit like a trick question.
Mm-hmm.
You're expecting me to say US.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go with UK. In the UK in 1981.
Okay. Did you read the notes?
No.
Then that's a superb guess, because it is in the UK, 1981. What was the magazine?
No bit. Oh, I have no idea.
Computer and video games. Yeah.
Oh, CVG.
Yeah, CVG. Yeah.
Oh, fucking hell.
Yeah. So
was that really the first?
The first consumer-oriented print magazine dedicated solely to video gaming was Computer and Video Games.
I think it's still going, isn't it? Or it was still going until recently.
Yeah. which premiered in the UK in November 1981. So this was 2 weeks ahead of the US launch of the next oldest publication, Electronic Games Magazine.
EGM.
Yeah, so
we talked about EGM in Street Fighter with the hoax of Street Fighter 2, yeah.
And that was founded by the Arcade Alley writers, the one I said a few minutes ago. So we beat the US to printed dedicated game magazine.
But I'm not saying
weeks.
we've always been much better at knowing about video games and being ahead of the times in video games, but I mean, proof's in the pudding, people. I mean, you know, I love our American cousins, but sorry.
And just a little bit,
published a video game magazine
just
first.
to keep us, on the good side of everyone, a little bit more history. So, the first magazine dedicated to a console games or a specific video game console was Takuma Shoten's Family Computer magazine, which began in 1985 in Japan. And
Famicom.
Yep, and was focused on Nintendo's 8-bit family computer.
Yeah,
and so I've said that gaming printed media is barely existent at the moment, but the video game crash of 83 badly hurt the market. Computer Gaming World in 1987 reported that there was at the time 18 color magazines covering computer games before the crash, but by 1984 Computer Gaming World was the only surviving magazine in that region, so from 18 down to 1.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what caused the crash? What was there's just the general market for video games was?
Well, there was all sorts.
Atari tried to release ET.
Poor ET gets the blame for that.
But they did bury it in a desert for a reason, Dan.
So not only were all the authorities after him in the film, but his game gets buried
Poor
in the desert.
Elliot.
And he's also
should have used his magic finger.
Yeah, he's also blamed for the video game crash. So but I mean, 18 to 1.
One of those he was fully responsible for, in fairness.
Yeah. In 1992, British video game magazines had a circulation of 1 million copies per month.
I know, because I bought a lot of them. I definitely did. I worked about that time. I'd have been 16, and I worked at, not only was I a milk boy, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's like the junior milkman. I also did a paper round, but worked a Saturday job in a shop. So I had a plethora of selection of, when you're waiting for papers and things like that, you're reading the video game magazines. So I bought so many different, those were the days.
Just again, for certain demographic of the audience, a paperboy was a kid who delivered.
It's not. It's a video game.
It was. Imagine the news that you read, like social media, but it was in printed form, and you would deliver it through people's doors. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Dad. Yeah. Right. Shut up.
I mean, I was the same. I think I said Chew. So my dad owned a fish and chip shop. Family still do. And opposite,
did you wrap chips?
No. Opposite. I would never use that for that. I'd be like handing the customer their chips, and I'd be reading.
Today's video games are tomorrow's fish and chip wrapping.
I'm just going to rewrap that. This wasn't good paper. No, there was opposite. There was a news agent, and like you said, there was probably about 2 shelves full of like the gaming magazines, and
hundreds of them.
There
were so many of them,
and going off the point here, but they all had discs or cassettes on them, everything. Games and demos. And remember, this was before the internet, clearly. So that was where we got our gaming news. That was the only place, right?
Original piracy as well. Just copy, copy from one tape record to another.
Yeah.
And you had to, not sell to your mates. Obviously that would have been illegal. Yeah. Give to your mates. Gift to people at school.
So I think it's easy to underestimate how important video game magazines were to like our generation, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, they were your window into the video gaming world. New releases, demos,
cheats,
cheats, walkthroughs, everything that you get now, youth get now off of interwebs.
Yeah,
everything. And
we had to wait a month.
We had to wait a month in between, as if 50 pages of content if you were lucky. Whilst you were waggling your Thrustmaster.
Yeah. That was a different shelf. So the magazines, and I think something that also, something that also sort of stands out to me at the time. I'm sure some places still do, but the magazines, especially in like the 90s, tried to jazz up the scores a bit, so you would get awards, wouldn't you? So you
that was a different shelf.
Well, depending on where you went, it was.
Sorry.
You would get like the
might have been the same shelf.
Sometimes those magazines were heavier than normal. You had the Zap 64 gold medal. You would have like Your Sinclair gave it a mega game.
Oh my God! You know, Zap 64, Your Sinclair. You're coming out with all the golden oldies. These are brilliant.
So if it got like 90%, it would have a medal given to it. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, Amiga Power was another one. I remember Zap 64.
But they still do that now.
Power.
The review, and I'm sure we'll get to this, but they still, you know, certain ones they give like a Eurogamer certainly used to give like a recommended or an essential or whatever it was. Yeah. But I just loved how they used to give them like, you know, like gold award or, you know, what did I say? Did that influence you to buy that game? Like in those days? Because well, I'm sure we'll get to this about how they've influenced us and what we did. But did those things influence? I don't remember being influenced by. I mean, I probably didn't have the money to buy them, but
I think in some ways it did, because as we said, you would wait a month for it. We probably couldn't buy that many. Well, it's nowhere near what we could do now. So if a game was getting like 80 or 90%, because that was the other funny thing, a lot of these magazines would do it in the double digits, right, up to 100%. It would, yeah. It felt like, this is a special game, right? Because you didn't want to spend like your £15, God forbid, like £10 or £15 on something that was only getting. Yeah, 50%.
I don't think I was that influenced until it came to probably owning a SNES. I think even like the Master System and stuff like that, I wasn't that influenced by reviews. It was more what my mates were saying and what they were doing, because there was a lot of lending and borrowing and stuff going on. But yeah, sorry, I've railroaded you. But yeah.
No, game magazines were massive. Yeah, were so cool. And you would get games, you know, they might have been like freeware or like shovelware, but you would get a lot of games on there. So, the internet, when it comes to the internet, there is conflicting claims, of course, which was the first magazine to publish online regularly. But one of the first ones, so originally starting as a printed fanzine in April 1992, Game Zero magazine claims to have launched a web page in November 94, with the earliest formal announcement of the page occurring in April 95. And I love the name of this one. Intelligent Gamer Online debuted a complete website in April 95, commencing regular updates to the site on a daily basis, despite its bi-weekly name. Now, you know, 95, we're still talking really early on in terms of the internet, right? Yeah. So dial-up, etc. But yeah, that's just like a little sort of trip down memory lane of.
I enjoyed that. It's a lovely little walk.
Now, I think it's probably later on, but like I said, I have got something somewhere about sort of what's left. I think there is only 4 in the UK, but I want to talk about
actual printed, published and printed. Which one of them be Edge, right? I would imagine.
Yeah. Edge is still there. So, of course, you know.
Retro Gamer. I mean, if you haven't read our article in there, I'll mention just Ian Lee did a column.
Just in case you didn't hear, Dan, we featured in Retro Gamer a few months ago. So, we'll probably plug that again.
Shinobi cover.
And to be honest, and look, obviously, but it is a really cool magazine.
It's a really cool magazine.
I do like that, you know. I mean, obviously, retro people, but yeah. So what I wanted to do, Dan, is talk about, you know, not sort of like deconstruct reviews as such, but I wanted to talk about reviews as a whole. So, firstly, before we get into some of the talking points, how do you approach reviews now? Do they sway? You know, what are you using it for? I guess
I'm very selective. I'll be honest. Like, because we are bombarded with so much information about a game beforehand now, I will generally know pretty much most of the stuff. I don't mind spoilers. I'm not one of those people, right? And there are people, I think you are one of, who really wants to avoid certain content and spoilers about movies, TV, games, whatever. I'm not bothered. I'm very much, I can jump to the end. I don't mind. I'll still enjoy it. I'll still have a good time. And I'm like that with games. And so before something comes out, I'm generally in a place where I've made a decision as to whether I'm going to buy it, irrespective of reviews. There are some exceptions. And most recently, and most notably, was Romeo's the Dead Man. I was super hyped for that game. To the point where I was like, that's day one. I'm just going to get it because I love Grasshopper stuff. I think, it looks like a great game, like a lot of fun. And then I read the reviews. But rather than doing what I normally do is like skim read them and like, I was at a place where I think, money was tight. Chris was like, do I want to spend that 50, 60 quid or whatever on it? Read the reviews and I was like, none of them were particularly complimentary. And it was getting 5s and 6s and for a kind of pseudo 51. And I was like, really? Like this guy's like Lollipop Chainsaw and all those guys kind of been amazing. And then it comes out and it's like, it's just a bit meh and a bit repetitive. And I was like, and plus I was knee deep in Arc Raiders, I think. And I was just like, I don't have time for this. So I'm not going to bother. So there is the occasional, I've bought games that have done that. Like, what's the one on the prison planet that's just like Dead Space?
Protocol, Callisto
Protocol. Calypso Protocol. The Calypso drink. That was nice. Do the Calypso. The Callisto Protocol. Same thing. I'd read so much about it. I was like, I need another Dead Space. This Spider Guys did Dead Space. And I went out and bought it straight away. Day one purchase. Reviews all came in 6s and 7s. I'm like, yeah, it's all right, but it's not great. And that was probably broadly my experience of the game. But, so I will still do it. It's just that exception was a recent one. But yeah.
So
I don't pay that much attention to them that much.
Well, I was going to say, would you have allowed a game that you might have had interest in and say got bad reviews, like a 5 out of 10? Would that have put you off? As in, would that be a reason why you wouldn't buy a game?
If I took the time to read the review thoroughly and understand what it was that they didn't enjoy. Yeah. Because if that was the case, I would have very easily never purchased Arc Raiders based on Eurogamer's review.
Yeah, and we'll come to that as well.
I know we will, but it's just as an example. So not regularly. I'm generally pretty good. I never look at Metacritic weirdly. Like I never look at what a rounded perspective of someone is. There's a few sites I trust and a few sites I absolutely don't trust. I'll read them for the news stories, but their reviews I just think are paid for bullshit. Yeah. We won't mention names, but yeah.
Well, there's a couple of things we're going to come on to. I've got that.
Yeah.
But there's a few things you said in there. Firstly, I keep forgetting, so I'm going to say it. You mentioned Lollipop Chainsaw. Kind of get reminded of that when playing God of War, because you've got Mimi's head on your back, haven't you? So it kind of reminds me of Lollipop Chainsaw, but that's not the point here. So no, I found generally I'm that sort of person. I love those bad reviewed games. I'm the sort of person nowadays, it's funny you said, because back in the day maybe I did take on reviews, but yeah, I love a janky game. I think we've said it on here, and I've got a lot of forgiveness.
Yeah, but I don't like paying full price for a janky game.
No, not full price. But you've hit nail on the head for me. Reviews, yeah, of course I still go to them. I'll use Metacritic, but what I will do is I'll do that classic, like there's a few websites I really like for Xbox, I think it's Xbox Hub, I think I use that. Got to say that carefully. But what I'll do is have a look at a couple of the high scoring ones, then have a look at a couple of the low scoring ones, almost like Amazon
I've
reviews.
Done that before.
Do you know what I mean?
I've done that before.
You have a look at what the 1-star scores are,
Yeah.
But I find, and this will be something we can come on to, I find I ignore the score and I read the review, because why has that been marked down, or why is that so high? Does a guy love, or does the reviewer love punishing difficulty, and so they've given it an 8? Because I hate punishing difficulty. So,
and this is why they are so contextual in like reviews, and I'll often read a review, and if it about a game, and if it starts off with the words, "I love Dark Souls games," do you know what I mean? I'm like. And this is a great example of, I'm immediately like, yeah, I'm out, because that person is not attacking that game from the perspective of someone like me who doesn't enjoy those types of games, and therefore would be like, I'm just going to be lost and beaten to a pulp within seconds, and I'm going to give up, because the number of games I've bought and never played more than 30, 40, well, maybe it's a couple of hours of, and got nothing out of them. So I've literally paid 60 quid for, Sekiro I actually did enjoy, but Dark Souls 3 and, Elden Ring and things I've put some time into, but not barely enough to scratch the surface at all because I'm rubbish at 'em. And yet the reviews have gone, they're amazing. Elden Ring was a prime example, 10 out of 10s across the board, game of the year everywhere. And you go, it must be great. Everyone's loving it. And you actually go and play it and you're like, I'm shit at it.
And that's the thing, but it's not wrong that it's got 10 out of 10 because in that genre, but that's
not
what I
taking
think
anything
what
away from it. So that's my fault.
And this is what we're saying. You come on to the first talking point anyway. So it's the point I've put is, do scores over? No, they don't. Do scores oversimplify complex art? So, for example, a 40+ hour game has got many mechanics in it. So you've got mechanics, narrative, pacing, systems, etc.
Yeah.
Can a single number compress all that into a single digit? But on the flip side, they are a quick guide ultimately in what is now a crowded marketplace. So I guess the talking point is, or the question is, the simplification or the distilling of a review of a game into a single number or even a letter, is it valid nowadays, I guess?
I don't know. I think it's so subjective, like, video game reviews or any review is so subjective because you're reading an opinion piece at the end of the day. It's that single person's, and no two people are alike, so you're getting their perspective of what they enjoyed about the game or what they liked. And yes, they've got, years of experience in playing video games and things like that, but they haven't got your experience in playing video games. And it's similar to what I was just saying, so I don't know if, even reading them in full and distilling it down to a simple number, because there's been plenty of times where I've played games, like you said, that are 5s and 6s out of 10 or whatever it is. Evil West is a prime example. I fucking love that game. I think it was like really a fucking 6 on IGN or something like that. And you're like, but it wasn't. And to me, it wasn't. All right. So those guys, it was, because their experience in playing those sort of AA titles suggests that there are superior games out there. But for me, I loved it. So I'm like, well, no.
I've often said as well, and this goes for music and more so film and TV, do reviewers get jaded because they are reviewing tens of, dozens of stuff
it has to, right? Because they're going to have to.
Yeah.
And I this podcast I love, right? You know that, and I love doing it, and I love us spending time doing this stuff and working stuff
Why
through.
am I really worried what the next sentence is?
But even I get to a point where I'm going, I feel like I have to be playing something other than what I've been playing to have content to talk about. So if you're doing that for a job, and feeling that way, that you have to be doing, I've got to play that, not because I want to play it, but because I've got to get a review done.
Yeah,
you're like, really? Like, you know.
I mean, I'm coming more from the point of view of, right, there are objectively bad games out there, right? And the thing is, you are playing 10th generic FPS of the week. You might be playing Gollum game, which we know that how that's done. So if you have to sit there and play these bad games, do you just get almost like tired, and do you get numb to certain games or mechanics because maybe it's your 20th FPS that month or something?
Potentially. I guess it depends. Do you think they have specializations? Didn't they have like an FPS guy or a single player campaign guy or a online multiplayer guy or girl? Sorry, I'm not being...
I'm sure they do. And look, Joey, I know you're listening, so I apologize, but literally last night he said something about a review. And he said in this publication, they just said, look, who wants to review this? And anyone could put the name forward. So you might have somebody who's like an RTS fan who's playing an FPS and, that doesn't necessarily go, right?
Yeah, because I think that's the thing. If you kind of know that person is good at these types of things or continually plays these types of things, they're going to go like, I have it like Metroidvanias or, side scrollers or something like Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. I played that for fucking, half an hour and I was like, it's shit. But every review was like, it's amazing. With a pulse-pounding soundtrack. and I'm like...
But that's the other point. Should it go to someone who knows those games? Because shouldn't it go to someone like us who maybe doesn't play those games?
I'd argue it should go to me, and I'll tell them what I really think.
Yeah. But again, and in this, there are a couple of other factors you could throw in, right? So you've got people that will only play the main story versus a completionist run, because, you know, obviously if you're only main storying it, you're going to get often you might get a completely different experience, right? You've got solo v co-op. And yeah, a score assumes there's a standard playthrough, right? So, you know, we've said like Oblivion, you can, or even like Red Dead Redemption. I remember at first, the second one, I'm not saying I got bored of it, but I was kind of starting to go off it because I was doing all the side stuff. But the minute I then focused on the story, it hooked me again. And I was playing it every night until I completed it.
Yeah.
So, and I'm guessing, how do you balance that? Do you know what I mean? Experiencing the world as a whole, like if you're a completionist as to somebody who just wants to zip through that story.
Yeah, because there, you know, we know there are certain games that are like, this game's got, you know, 60 hours of content or 100 hours of content, you know, and you can imagine an office full of people and they're going, right, who wants to review this one? And everyone's going, I'm busy, I'm out this weekend. Like, nobody wants to pick up the 60-hour long game and go, fuck, I've got to do the whole thing. Like, you know, and yet you'll get games like GTA 6 coming out where everyone's racing to be the person who reviews the 100 hours of gameplay or whatever it is because it's the new shiny thing. I don't know.
There's something else I want to say about that, but we'll come on to it. And I think I've remembered now the Joey story was, we were talking about, do you remember, we mentioned it on here a few weeks ago. Do you remember the journalist who was playing Cuphead and couldn't complete the tutorial?
That was related to the Ninja Gaiden Rage Band thing that I moaned about. Yeah. Well,
and I think it's linked to that they opened it up, and I'm not even sure that person was a games journalist, to be fair. It was just opened up to anyone in the thing, but they couldn't do the tutorial. So again, I think that kind of backs up what we're saying about who should be playing it.
Me all over. I'll pick up a game and can't do the tutorial. I'm out.
But then you've got in between, go back to the start, what we've been playing. When I realised I was still playing the tutorial, I thought I was doing quite well. And then, you realise it's just a tutorial. You've obviously then got another issue is time, right? So you've got a game, we said Resident Evil 9, that's just out. We've seen various reviews that it can be finished roughly in around 9 hours, maybe
I think
15.
It's the average, yeah.
Yeah, if you do everything.
Between 6 and 15, so probably average about 9 hours.
Yes, you can play that, you can complete that in a tight deadline. You can probably experience everything that game's got. But what about a 60 to 100 hour RPG? You know, what if...
There you go. Who wants to review Skyrim?
Yeah. What if, you know, there's and again, this is down to practice, as in publishing practice, but what if you've got a week to review or a couple of weeks? What if the first 15, 20 hours are really slow and then it picks up and you've only experienced that first 15 hours? What if it's, likewise a repetitive mid-game?
You get to work from home, do you think, to do those reviews? Do you think they go, you work from home for the next, you know, if you've got a really tight deadline on a game because it hasn't been provided up front and you've got a deadline for the publication, broadly, it's not on paper anymore, but you know what I mean. Do you think people, you know, the kind of, and we should probably research this better, but do you think they kind of go, you can go 60 hours of your week now, you've got to spend playing that thing so you can get through that and write the review at the same time? And how do you do it? Do you write as you're playing and go, that thing happened, I'll note that down? I don't know.
I think they do, but I think the issue more is, and it probably was more with the printed magazines, but I would imagine the majority of the problem now is you don't want to be late with that review. You want to be one of the first ones because that's where your traffic's going to come. So,
well, it's the same with social media and everything, and you know, YouTube, and you know, you want to be the first one talking about the thing that happened.
Yeah. So, how valid can a review be as well, if you or how thorough? And look, and like I said, not trying to do a disservice. This is us talking about it rather than it being a factual, in-depth thing.
Totally.
But I'm thinking, you know, there's going to be a rush to get it out. Now, some websites don't. Like, look, I think Eurogamer are one, and there's a couple of other sites where you've seen it. Look, and Eurogamer stands out because they say, why haven't we reviewed X yet? And it's because they didn't get...
buy the copy. We've had to,
Yeah, and so they're not going to put out a rushed one or one based on a few hours.
Or a fake one.
Yeah. So, you know, there's that credibility there. But it then does make you think, the games that, you know, that are getting reviews quite quickly, obviously they've got the the developer's copy, but are they also just rushing to try get it out to market first? It's
essentially, yeah. I think it's definitely a thing that they do, and then therefore how thorough they actually been, in their detail of the game, because they are trying to just get it out as quickly as possible.
Yeah. An interesting one on time that I want to throw at you is, should reviews be updated? So let's look at Cyberpunk and No Man's Sky. So those released two quite bad releases, but have massively improved over time. So how would you handle that? And because I know in my head what it should be, and I think it's what I've seen a couple of places do. But yeah, what do you think about games that are evolved?
Yes, totally. I think they should, and I think as much as I despise IGN's review system, they do this. They do go back and re-review. They did it with Cyberpunk. They did it with No Man's Sky. They've done it with a bunch of other games, especially stuff that's in early access. Like they'll do a review so far. I think they've done it with Marathon recently. They do a review so far, and then as that game evolves, they'll do a final review, and then they'll revisit it and go back and do another one. So they do that. Other publications might see it as a waste of time and kind of go, well, I'm not going to go, it's dead in the water. Nobody's going to buy it based on this. Because I think that's what ultimately a lot of these bigger publications are doing. They're trying to drive traffic towards people to buy this purchase. Now, whether they get a cut of that or not, question mark. Not suggesting that behaviour goes on, Dan. But yeah, I mean, so they want to be first out. They want to get the review out, and they don't really bother. They're not really bothered if updates, changes, etc. are made to that game to improve it. Mind's Eye, I mean, what happened with that, right? I'm sure that's been updated and patched and everything else, but no one's gone back and gone, actually, it's worthwhile playing now.
So,
whereas Cyberpunk, they did.
See, the issue I've got with this is I agree. So I have seen websites where they review it and they keep the original review so you can see. So that's how I see they should have both scores, because the interesting thing is Metacritic won't update it. So if a website, as far as I'm aware, and again, if that's changed, but they're a one and done system. So if IGN go in and update it from a 2 to a 10, it's going to be the 2 that stays in. So
yeah,
and we'll come on to Metacritic after, but that feels really unfair, because I think in that instance, the website has done the right thing. And as a reader, I can go and see, right, okay, so that's why it got that 2. I can see now why it's a 10. But for those who are guided solely by the holy grail of the Metacritic score and see that red mark or the yellow mark, then I think that's where it's on us as gamers to do our research fully and not just dismiss something, because of that, like we said, that double-digit score, right?
Yeah, agreed. And I think sometimes that's where things like demos can come in and play a role and help, because you get a flavour of that thing before you go out and pay that. And they don't happen as frequently as they should do. There are a few games I was surprised to actually have demos, but they're very well hidden and kind of secreted away in storefronts and things like that these days. Steam, not necessarily, because they do a great job of Steam Next Fest and things like that, but certainly Xbox, Microsoft and Sony, you have to really dig in and try and search for demos and things like that. I think more recently, Microsoft have put a thing on their store where you can select by demo. Nintendo do as well, so you can see what's out there. But there are some games on Microsoft the other day, I was like, I didn't realize there was a demo for that. It's not very publicized, but actually if I played the demo, that would convince me more than a publication that either had revisited or whatever, and gone back and said, yes, we've corrected our error. And those that don't, it almost feels like you got the game or the developers being punished for trying to improve something that wasn't quite good enough in the first place by going, I'm sorry, it was shit when it came out. I know you've done a load of work and worked really hard to improve it. And yes, it's much better, but I'm not going to tell people.
Well, like you said, live service games, which we discussed last week, and Dan's been discussing for a number of weeks with Art Raiders.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Usually when they release it, I'm not going to say they're bare bones, but they're not the game that they are 18 months later, or even 6 months later. So again, it's like, it feels really harsh for a game to be held to something in an early level, right? When you've got far more development. The other weird thing you often see is clearly publication establishments get a different build sometimes of the game, don't they? Because we then rely on day one patches or
all the time, and a lot of publications now come out and say, "Yeah, we played it, and there's loads of bugs, but we haven't had a day one patch yet."
Yeah,
you're not reviewing the finished product, are you? It's like going, "I reviewed a cake, but the batter was great, but it hasn't actually been baked yet."
Yeah,
and you're like, but you haven't reviewed the cake, then have you? You reviewed the batter, and that's what it feels like. It's like I've reviewed the thing, but not the fully finished thing.
Yeah. Or in my head, I'm thinking even worse. Well, sinister's too strong a word, but we've been given this cake. It's not what you're going to buy, but we've been told it's going to be just like that. You know,
it's similar to what you're going to get.
Yeah, yeah.
Not quite, but it's almost like it. Yeah, it's a weird. And that is the advent of day one patches and all that sort of stuff that's done that, to be fair. It's not the publication's fault, because they're kind of, like you said, they're trying to drive to market and get the first reviews out there. But are the reviews necessarily the thing you're going to play?
But it's more than day one patches, because sometimes, how many times has a game come out with a game breaking bug that needs a week or so to get fixed? But how did the review copies not see it?
Totally.
And again, I'm not talking about any conspiracy or anything, but sometimes is it a case of just, like I said, maybe tight deadlines? You're not playing the game end to end. You're not doing the crazy things that you or I would, because you've got all the time in the world to play the game. Usually means dying to a lot of arc, but
don't know what you're talking about.
I'm going to skip a little section in my notes because I want to get to. So we've been flirting with the scores, numbers as well. Scoring meaning has changed massively over time, and we joked about it in the skit at the start. But ultimately, I think modern days 9 to 10 is a great game. 8 is good. 7 is disappointing. And 6 or below is usually, it's not a good game.
Not even going to buy it.
When did 7 become disappointing? Because in my ranking, 6 or 7 actually is still a fairly good game. It's just, it might need a bit of love in certain areas.
I think there's so much expectation on game developers these days to release the next massive thing, or the next thing that, makes a ton of cash, or that it's almost unfair on them to have an expectation that everything's going to be a 9 or a 10. And then when it isn't, and there is that thing, that Romeo is Dead Man for me, my expectation was that was going to come out with 9s easily, 8s and 9s easily. And then when it doesn't, you're like, oh, what happened then? Because everything I saw of it, this anticipation that you build up, and it'll be the same for reviewers, it'll be the same for, they're almost like, well, it's definitely going to be a 9 when I review it. And then they review it and go, oh, it's a bit shit, wasn't it? Well, it wasn't what I thought. And so there I'm going to give it a 5 or a 6. I don't think, I think I'm with you. I'm not sure 5 or 6s or 6s or 7s are actually bad, right? That's always 5s or 6s is the middle of the road. It's it's okay. It's, it's all right to like the game and enjoy it. A 2 or a 3, won't bother, right? Assuming it's out of 10, not 100. 6s, 7s, 8s, fucking hell's a good game.
Yeah.
In today's market, 9 and 10, exceptional, right? Nothing much is going to touch that, but it doesn't feel like that's the ranking anymore. It feels like everyone has to go, if it's not a 9 or 10, I'm not even buying it, not even getting it.
Yeah, it was really, because it became a meme a while ago, but it's the 7 that really irks me. So like, look, below 5, I think you're looking in a void territory, because that, for me, that should only be given if there's fundamental flaws in a game, right?
That's your mind's eyes.
Yeah, I'm sure I've played a couple of those, I'll be honest.
That's a David Cage game.
Yeah.
I'm actually saying
a 5, well, Too Human, I think. A 5 is, a 5 should be middle of the road, right? Because that's exactly what it is. If it's a scale out of 10, it's middle of the road. So maybe it does some things really well, does some things quite bad.
Yeah.
A 6, you're in the top part of the scale, but a 7, the fact that it now means disappointing, and like if a game gets a 7, fans are up in arms. This is why I think I would rather reviews didn't have a score. And I liked what Eurogamer did do that you mentioned. So I would rather have to read the review. At least or most, or at least what I would like, there are a number of websites that put the pros and cons. That's what I will look for. Rather than a score, I will look to see what the pros and cons are. But I would rather have a view of that publication saying you might want to avoid it, or it's essential, or have a look at it, than a 7, 8, 4, 2.
Yeah. And, I'm sure we'll talk about sites and things that we use, but Kotaku, I use a lot when I look at reviews. So as an example, I've got their review of High on Life 2 up on the screen. All right. And it's a great read. Go and read the review because it's quite funny as well. But they always do this. And the thing that drew me to their reviews was this one thing that they do. They always start off their little box out of a review with a back of the box quote. So what should the back of the box say? So for this one, it's finally a game that lets me shoot aliens with a talking gun while skateboarding. That's their back of the box quote. And then it just does who the developer is, what the type of game is for this. This is first person semi-open world sci-fi comedy shooter. What they liked, funny jokes, varied environments, lots of gags to find alien guns look great. Disliked, lots of bugs, frequent performance issues, so-so combat. Tells you the platforms. And then, importantly for me, tells me how much they've played. Nearly completed the full game after 15 hours, but the final boss fight broke. So that, even they've kind of gone, it was broken, I couldn't finish it. So they're actually quite transparent in their reviews, and that's why I quite like Kotaku, because they do that, and then they'll tell you the release date and stuff. But it almost, for me, that drives me into wanting to read the review if I am going to read a review on it. So I always find their reviews are quite good in terms of they feel quite unbiased. And Rock Paper Shotgun's another one. They do a really good job of their reviews as well. Yeah.
Well, like I said, I just was looking one up here. So for Requiem, I use the Xbox Hub for the Xbox, of course. And they do a star system. So, they've given that 5 out of 5, but it's more in the summary at the bottom. And they also say whether they got the game, if it was who they got it from, etc.
Yeah.
But you got pros and cons. And what I like about that is, if I haven't read the review, like one for Resident Evil, I will read it, of course. But if it's one I'm interested in and it's only got like 2 stars, I'll look at what the cons are. And then depending on what they are, I'll then make sure I go into the review to find out a little bit more. Because again, it could be that High on Life 2, maybe they don't like the annoying chatter of the guns, but I like that. Maybe they don't like the juvenile humour in it, but I like that. So what is that criticism? And is it, I guess what I'm saying, is it a fundamental game breaker, or is it a reviewer's annoyance, which is valid, right? So, I would rather have, I would like to have what Eurogamer used to have, which was
just without the score whatsoever, and just kind of an opinion piece more than anything.
Yeah, but I get that.
Yeah, I don't.
Well, I was going to say, I get people just want to take a shortcut though and just skip to the bottom and look.
And it does happen, and I'm guilty of it sometimes. I will scroll down and go, what did it get? Albeit I don't use Metacritic, I do scroll down on numerous sites and go, what did they get? I tell you one, CVG actually do this quite regularly. They do a roundup. So if a big game comes out, they've probably got one out at the moment actually on Resi, and they'll do, what have other reviewers been saying, and they'll do just a little snippet and the score of the thing. So it's almost Metacritic-esque, but it kind of gives you they'll choose 5 or 6 sites and they'll tell you what they've been saying. But more often than not, I'll do what you do, and I'd rather have a pros and cons list. And go, well, what are people enjoying about it and what aren't they enjoying? And am I on that side of the enjoy or not enjoy, or is it even the reverse like it was for you? But like I said, if I'd have gone with Kotaku's about Romeo's a Dead Man, the back of the box quote is, I didn't understand anything and loved every second of it. So, and then, it's an action adventure hack and slash. They like the maximalist aesthetics and peak storytelling, but dislike makes few innovations in a world full, albeit still fun formula. I'd have probably, if I'd have just read that, I'd have probably gone, I could buy it then. Yeah. But I didn't. I looked at some other reviews and went, oh man, everyone's panning it. So
yeah. Well, look, and
personal opinions, by the way, people. It's not, you do you.
And look, and my notes are going to go out the window now because I'm going to jump to the invention of the user reviews now, and this is exactly it, because what you've said has triggered that in my mind, because
triggered you.
Yeah. Well, no, and look, and I'm going to quote him again, and he won't mind, but like Joey of Game Club Pod doesn't particularly like. Well, I think he tried Mass Effect 2 and said he actually likes what it is, but doesn't like the overly talky games. There are going to be people out there. You and I have talked about Dispatch on this game, on this pod, and how much we loved it. But there are going to be people out there who are going to hate that because it is just a cartoon. They're going to say,
I don't think they can. I think it's impossible to take that game down. I think anyone who said that is fucking lying and has never ever played it.
But look, there are going to be people, and I've got some, it was under my Metacritic bit, but there are divisive games like Death Stranding. It was either the greatest game or it was a walking simulator.
Shit until I played it.
There you go. There you go.
Totally. I can do this all day.
Yeah, but even BioShock Infinite, The Last of Us Part 2, when they came out, they were really divisive. And I've got a whole section here.
Don't believe that. I think they're both fucking awesome. Shut up, people.
So I'll talk to you, not just you, everyone who wants to listen, after about the discrepancies between the two reviews. But do you, I guess the long way round to this bloody question was, do you read and pay attention to user reviews?
No, I don't think I do. No, I think it's a short answer. I genuinely don't think I do. I'm in a lot of Reddit forums, and when a game comes out or an update for a game comes out, I will engage in the discourse, but I don't really take people's opinion. I mean, I've said before on this podcast, most people are idiots, right? And they just, do I want to listen to the opinion of idiots? I mean, I'm an idiot, right? So I'm not segregating myself. So, do I want to listen to that opinion? I don't agree with myself half the times. I'm definitely not going to agree with other people.
You're still listening.
People know.
No, I know what you mean. For me, the short answer is no, because I can't trust them. Because we mentioned earlier the review bombing, right? It's a thing.
Oh, all day long. I mean, if I listened to user reviews, I would be playing Corey in the house right now.
Yeah.
That's what I'd be doing.
And look,
apparently it's the greatest game ever.
And it's a funny game, and some of them are quite terrible as well. But look at some of the reviews some games get. They're clearly jokes. They're clearly, people trying to get that viral review going. And it's like, so I can't trust them. I would rather ask you what your view is.
Yeah.
Like the Game Club Pod Boys, cause friends, basically, people I know and who I know what kind of games they like. And
I think I may have swayed you to play Ark Raiders.
Yeah. I think you did. But it's like, I know, although you've gone far more to the roguelike, and I think you do like Dark Souls games. But I think you and
Joey.
I think you and I
fucking inhabited you by spirit or something.
No, I think you and I have got similar-ish views on games. Not totally like you. I think you are a lot more into the roguelikes now than.
And you're very into retro, and I'm kind of quite anti.
Yeah.
Going back and playing history. I love the history of video games, but I don't want to go back and experience that. I want to look forward and do the new stuff.
But I think in terms of the big games and modern games, I think we are fairly similar in what we do like and what we don't.
Yeah,
so,
I think so.
I'll listen, I'll ask you, I'll ask another friend, and I think I'll take their opinion more so than
yes, definitely all day
Sniper XXX123, at yahoo.com.
Dark Souls Master Get Good at AOL.com.
Yeah. Oh, I'm looking at the time, and there's a couple of things. I'm kind of going to skip down to Metacritic. We have to talk about Metacritic, right?
Yes.
We've mentioned them, and whether it's a good thing or not. I mean, of course, I've used it at the start. I used it because it was a great tool. It was an aggregator.
I used to use it. I agree.
Yeah. Founded in 1999. Official launch in 2001. Then in 2005 got sold to CNET and later acquired by CBS and is currently owned by Fandom. Now, as we said, they aggregate all scores, right? Which I always find fascinating because you get one outlet might give it a must buy, another gives it 1 out of 5 stars, another will give it an A+, and another will give it 8 out of 10. So that's an interesting thing there. But it's the influence it's had on it now on gaming. So do you remember the Fallout New Vegas shenanigans 2010? 2010.
God, no.
So
I can't remember breakfast today, Dan. No, we've got two hopes.
Well, Bethesda Softworks at the time had a contract with Obsidian that stipulated a bonus would only be paid if the game achieved an average Metascore of 85 or higher. Fallout New Vegas received an 84%, resulting in the studio missing out on a bonus, which then contributed to layoffs at the company.
Wow. I did not know that. That's appalling.
Yeah.
That's truly appalling.
Yeah. So it's become more than it's become bigger than what it is in that sense. So
my God, it's driving people's livelihoods.
Yeah. So it's now we've got not saying not having a target, it'd be great if our game could do this, but the fact that by one and like I said, it could be a reviewer's had a bad day that day. It could be that you've given it to somebody who hates RPGs. It could be, it could be anything, right? And they've given it a low score. Another example is in 2008, the CEO of EA, John Riccitiello, used a chart of declining Metacritic scores to illustrate to Wall Street analysts a downward trend in the quality of EA's games, stressing the need for the turnaround. So they are in an exec level meeting using a flip chart of
pulling out Metacritic scores just to prove a point.
Yeah.
Wow.
Square Enix, Sleeping Dogs, Tomb Raider. Square Enix and Sleeping Dogs Tomb Raider former Square Enix president Yoichi Wada indicated in a briefing that the company used forecasted Metacritic scores to determine expected sales figures for Sleeping Dogs and Tomb Raider. So using Metacritic to project revenue, basically.
It's ridiculous.
And where is it? One more here. Retailers in the past, like Walmart and Target, have asked publishers for Metacritic predictions to decide whether or not to feature, market, or stock certain games. So, yeah. It's incredible, isn't it?
It feels unhealthy, doesn't it?
And Microsoft don't escape here either. In 2008, they utilised Metacritic averages to decide which underperforming games on the Xbox Live Arcade platform would be delisted.
I mean, I kind of get.
Yeah.
I kind of get you've only got enough space to list some stuff on the underperforming ones by aggregated review. All right, kind of data telling you where to go. But yeah, I mean, it's not driving sales or people's livelihoods or jobs.
But would they have got rid of Cyberpunk because those reviews haven't been updated, right? So
yeah, potentially. Yeah, potentially. It's a fair point.
And the only reason I bring up Metacritic was because of the user scores. So we've seen a lot of review bombing on there. And
tons.
I do want to just do a couple of really quick scandals that have happened. So there was Drivergate. Did you know about Drivergate?
Was it because it was really shit and you can get past the voting and training level?
I forgot. No, this is about Driver 3.
Was it because it was really shit?
It was actually. It was. But the first two, maybe not the view of all the hosts here, but were really well received, and on top of that, sold really well. And Driver 3 had been in development for such a long time that Atari became worried that there was so much money poured in, it was going to need to sell 4 million copies just to break even. So 2 months before release, Atari gave British publisher Future Publishing exclusive review copies to 2 of the magazines, Xbox World and PSM2. These publications then gave the game a 9 out of 10.
Wow.
On general release, Driver 3 came out to mixed to low reviews, and it led some journalists to think that the early access Atari gave Future was contingent on favourable ratings. Atari and Future denied wrongdoing, and the incident was dubbed Drivergate. However, after accusations of review fixing arose, the Game Raider forums, which were operated by Future, were filled with critical posts. Many of them were deleted by moderators, although the comments were said to be removed for being libelous, and some users suspected a cover-up. Some comments defending...
I remember this.
Some comments defending Driver 3 and Future were traced to a forum, traced by forum moderators to Babel Media, a marketing company that made use of astroturfing. AstroTurfing is got it. The deceptive practice of hiding the sponsors of an orchestrated message organisation. So basically it was paid
company
for.
Marketing.
Yeah.
Wow.
The users admitted they worked for Babel, but said they were posting on their own behalf, not for Babel.
So, sure.
And the other one was the one I really remembered as well, was Kane and Lynch. Do you remember that?
I remember Kane and Lynch Dead Men.
So this was a GameSpot scandal. So in 2007, Jeff Gerstmann was a journalist for them. I say was because he was fired from there that year, because he had published a negative review for Kane and Lynch. Rumours were that the publisher had applied pressure on GameSpot to get rid of him. And it turns out they were mostly true. That though the publisher may not have actually applied the pressure, it turns out higher ups at GameSpot were none too pleased with Gerstmann when Sony threatened to pull advertising over the review. Now, if you remember, like, they run banners, at the top of the page. And I remember at the time they had a massive one for
Kane and Lynch. Yeah. I remember this as well. Yeah, I remember him getting fired over it. And it's like, you're not allowed to write an opinion piece on a game. You don't like a game, you have to write a positive review of it anyway.
Yeah.
It's appalling.
And and so that's to say, look, when there's always that classic, there's no smoke without fire, where we know there's probably or AI is writing it now, right?
Apparently.
And just an example, I just wanted to say something really funny here. Well, funny, we talk about user scores. So you've got Gran Turismo 7, its Metacritic score is 87, but the user score is 2.6. Yep.
I mean, I'm on the side of the users in this one, Dan.
Well, it's but it's just it's how you get those big discrepancies, right? And that's the thing. How do you trust it? So,
is it a Gran Turismo is a weird one because you clearly got game publication writers who love driving games like you do, Forza, and who love dabbling in and specific nuts and bolts added to an engine to make it, a tiny fraction of the thing faster. And clearly most users or gamers are like, I fucking want that. I just want to stick me in a car and let me drive around the track.
So, I think that's all I wanted to say on this. I kind of have chucked a few things out the window because of time. And look, like I said, we're not saying reviews are bad. We're just saying, have a think about what you use reviews for, I guess, how you use them and
how you use them. But ultimately, as we always say, you do you, right?
Exactly.
Whatever flicks your switch, you love a mind's eye out there and get a lot of fun out of it, go do it.
And actually, really good point. If you've played a game that was reviewed notoriously bad, but you've enjoyed it, let us know, because I love those stories. I love people that have felt it.
Opposite, you've reviewed it, there's a game that's been highly rated and you hated it, Elden Ring, then let us know.
I was trying to go for the good news story, but
sorry. You're right, I apologise.
Well, look, before we go, make sure you subscribe to us, tell everyone you know about us, share the love, give us a review. We're not going to tell you what is your review, we're not paying for advertising or anything, so there's no scandals here. Give us a review of what you see fit. We'll see you next week for another episode of Game Reviews. But Dan, so what have we learned today? Reviews are opinions, numbers are made up, and the comments section is undefeated, right?
Yes, and we're a 10 out of 10. That's what I took away from it.
Yeah. So again, if you agree with us, give us 5 stars, and we'll see you next week.